Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Season 1, Episode 4. The whole world is watching. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first, and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. Basically, what YouTube does, takes the algorithm of all the stuff you've been watching, tries to match them as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops them up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, you get the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule. I post it up every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media. So Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. No tier saving on the Patreon. Very, 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 very close. I'm waiting until I hit 1,000 subscribers before I put any tiers up there and, add stuff into it. I also have the links to this YouTube page, my Facebook page, and those of you who still have Facebook, a Facebook group page where you guys can post stuff and chat amongst yourselves. All right. Spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video you can comment down below in the comment section. Yeah. Okay. You ready? Ready? Steady? Go? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah, that happened. That shield's just way too clean though for having beaten the shit out of some dude with it and basically killing him by smashing the shield against him repeatedly. Really, guys, those of you in the art department, if you're the special effects department, take a big gigantic sponge, soak it in the fake blood, and then ram that shield down repeatedly on there, and then you get the blood pattern that you want. I know you're trying to clean it up for Disney and whatnot, but you need to go gory on it. That's all I'm going to say about that part. So, yeah, John Walker, big surprise. He took the super soldier serum like I said he was going to. There was a couple. So I'm kind of going to go out of order on things here just because there's something that's still bothering me about this whole series. Now we're on episode 4 of 6, so we've got 2 more episodes to go. The thing that's actually kind of bothering me about this is still, what the hell do the flag smashers want? We know they keep saying one world, one people, but we haven't actually been shown what that world was during the, before the blip. After the snap and before the blip. We haven't seen what that was. We've heard very little of it. Were there no borders at this point? Were people just traveling freely around the world? Were people just taking up residence where they could? And then when the blip happened, when everyone came back, the people that were living in other people's houses that had turned to dust, were they just kicked out of those houses? Were they the people who came back from the blip, were they displaced? We don't know because we haven't been told any of that. All we know is that we have refugees, if you will, and from the blip, but we don't know if these were people that were still here during this time or if there are people that returned or if it's a mixture of both. All we know is that the Global Repatriation Council has been reestablishing like social security numbers, citizenships. During this episode, there was actually a news item saying that the GRC has actually reinstated borders around countries and things like that. So we don't know exactly what was going on because we haven't been told. It's the one thing that's actually been a glaring error in all of this. And it's kind of a misstep really for the MCU, which is kind of, not typical of them at this point. I don't know why, but Applecrow says some of the people in watching that didn't seem phased by what they saw. Applecrow says we need a Matt Murdock series, and that's all legal ramifications of the blip. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to get with She-Hulk. Is we're going to get a lot of stuff from the blip with She-Hulk, but since they're dealing with it so prominently here, they aren't giving us the backstory on this. And this is where it's kind of failing us, is we don't know what the stakes are. We also don't know what the Flag Smashers actually want. Do they want to go back to a world government where there are no boundaries and everyone is treated, you know, I don't know if they're treated better, but it just, we don't know what the fuck they want. All we know is that now Carly is killing to prove her point, whatever this is, because when you go back and look at episode 3, just before she starts killing, you start agreeing with what she's saying. Even Sam in this episode is agreeing with what she's saying, just not her killing. And I understand, in order to make her a villain, they needed to have her kill somebody. And otherwise, you start sympathizing with your villain to the point where you have your audience turn and support your villain rather than say, hey, this is the villain. And yeah, it just seemed a little kind of weird for her to all of a sudden start killing people. And especially when she goes ahead and kills um, Hoskins there. So, yeah, Lamar Hoskins, Battlestar. And that was kind of a moment where that was an oh shit moment where you could tell that everyone in the room kind of froze for a minute when John Walker goes over to check Lamar and see what's going on. And yeah, that's when everyone starts running about that. Uh, and I get it. She wanted to kill Captain America, or this Captain America, to prove a point, but again, we don't know what that point was. So you need to actually tell us, or show us, or something about what it is you're trying to get these villains to convey that they're trying to do. Otherwise, they're not villains. They're just people that are stealing, not even really stealing. They're basically freeing up resources to people that need it, is what they're doing. They're freeing up medical, food, clothing, all this kind of stuff to people that are displaced, if you will, and are in these camps and need the medicine, food, clothing, etc. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. At this point, they need to clarify that quite a bit more. Joker says, "What about Shades of Grey?" I agree. If you could have Shades of Grey, you definitely can have Shades of Grey. You don't have to be a hero or a villain. There are shades of gray, and they even mentioned that in this episode, which was actually good, but they haven't taken it that far where John Walker says that heroes can't keep their hands clean anymore. It's not that simple. And you have two different sides, actually three different sides if you count Zemo as well, that are vying for Sam's consciousness, if you will, or conscious, if you will. You've got Carly who's saying, come with me and we will liberate the world and everyone will be equal because of all the injustice in the world. You have John Walker who is saying, no, there needs to be some kind of justice, although you're going to get your hands dirty from time to time when you're doing that justice. And then there's Zemo who's going, if you have power, you are a supremacist. And supremacists are always going to crave more power, and they're going to take their power and ram it down people's throats. That's what they're going to do. Uh, which I love when Sam goes, well, what about Steve Rogers? And he says, touche. But has there ever been another Steve Rogers? No, there hasn't. So, one out of, all these people that we have with super soldier serum in them. Um, yeah, it's one of those big things, big moment kind of things. And Zemo smashing up the super soldier serum that's left, the 12 vials, and well, he gets 11 vials because John Walker finds one vial and injects himself with it. And you can tell when he did it. He pretty much did it right after he got it, because you can tell he's having headaches when he's talking to Lamar and they're in the bar and he's just, he's grabbing his head and everything. And he'd asked Lamar, if you could take the super soldier serum, would you? And Lamar's like, hell yeah, I would. And so that kind of justifies to him that he did the right thing in taking the super soldier serum, which he probably shouldn't have. Yeah. Apple Crow says, I feel like the one thing this show is missing is old Steve to really sit everyone down and hash this out. Kind of, in a way. Yeah. Um, Joe Gurr says, maybe this is the fallout when Steve is out of the equation. Possibly, but again, you're not telling us why they want this stuff, why they are doing, why they what they want. You don't know what the flag smashers want, and until you give us that motivation, you really don't have a good villain or cause, if you will, for them to fight for. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not saying the show is bad. I'm just saying it's an aspect of the show that's missing, that's sorely missing, and needs to be discussed or should have been put in beforehand. Now, an easy way to do this would have been to take Sam as a voiceover before the show, at the beginning of the show, and basically saying what his experience was of the blip returning and what the hardship was. Maybe even talking to Bucky about it, or being in therapy about it and talking about how hard it was with him in the return, and kind of filling in the blanks there, and then moving ahead with your series. But they didn't do that. Unfortunately, they just kind of threw us in, and then we're getting little tidbits here and there where we can only speculate as to what happened there. And Applecrow says this show is really making me like Zemo. Yeah, I like Zemo as well. I really do. And having the Dora Milaje come in and basically give White Wolf the ultimatum. They're like, you got 8 hours, and then his ass is ours. And he's like, yeah, I don't think so. He's actually a lot more useful than you guys are at the moment. And he even says that to John Walker. He says, hey, you know what? Zemo has given us more information than you have. You guys should be out of here. We should be working with Zemo now at this point, just because we need to find out um, where Carly is at this point. And him using, I hate to say it, but he did use the strangers with candy technique in order to get some information out of those kids, and to find out where the funeral was being held and everything. It's just kind of diabolical at the same time. And I did love Sam's line. He pulled an El Chapo on us when he went down the sewer. Which who in the hell has a sewer that big in a bathroom in a hotel? I mean, literally, the drain was the size of a manhole cover, and Zemo escapes through. I don't know. Yeah. The actress playing Carly is doing a great job. Yeah. Erin Kellyman is her name. Penn. Yeah, she's doing a great job. I can't believe he chapoed himself. Yeah. Yes, Zemo did pick that hotel, by the way. So you're right, Apple Crow. So he knew exactly what he was doing. Um, yeah, there's some good stuff in this episode, but I like the episode previous to this mainly because we got Madripoor and we got some, and I forgot to mention the Princess Bar in Madripoor in the episode beforehand is owned by Wolverine. So the Princess Bar in Madripoor is owned by Patch. When he comes into Madripoor, he becomes Patch, but it's owned by Wolverine, and at least in the comics, it is. Is Zemo the Batman of the MCU? Not really. He's usually kind of dumb, to tell you the truth. I mean, he's a member of Hydra. And I used to honestly, him and Von Strucker were kind of interchangeable to me. Um, so yeah, I never really got into Baron Zemo or Von Strucker. I knew the names, I knew they were there, and whenever that came up as a Cap story, it was kind of boring for me. So yeah, that's why Civil War, of course, where Zemo kind of manipulates everyone. I was like, all right, Zemo's not the best villain for me, Marvel Comics wise. So yeah. But yeah, the end of that where John is killing this guy, this super soldier who didn't even kill Lamar because he won't tell him where Carly is, and he does it in public. and everyone films him. And I agree with somebody said it earlier. I think it might have been Apple Crow, who said the people did not have like a violent reaction to watching this guy kill somebody on out in public. They just kind of were sitting there filming it, like, hey, take a look, man. They're filming an episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's pretty much what it looked like, instead of people being horrified and turning away from it. Yeah. Applecrow says, I never followed him in the comics. It just seems like in this version, he's the guy with no powers who stands up to those who do and holds his own. Yeah, he is in this version. This version I like a lot better than the comic version. I have to admit. This version of Baron Zemo is well, it's Daniel Bruhl. I mean, his whole portrayal of Zemo is actually really good. And by the way, Disney Plus did release an hour-long version of his dance party thing going on from last episode when he was in Madripoor and he was dancing in the nightclub. And it's hilarious because Daniel Bruhl has said that he's a horrible dancer, like an extremely horrible dancer. And he says, my friends all know this, and they laugh whenever I go onto the dance floor because I make a fool of myself. And yes, it's really bad dancing. It's fucking hilarious. So I did put it up on the page, by the way, the Facebook page. I actually put it in the group page is where I put it. So if you want to come in and become a member of the Suspended Fanimation group page on Facebook, you can, and you'll find it there. Yeah, it was pretty hilarious when I saw that when I dropped. And the thing was, that was people clamoring. They heard about it. They heard that there was a longer cut, and people clamored for it. They said, "Restore the Zemo cut," I think is what it was. And it was the first time that fan clamor was actually used for good instead of restore the Snyder cut, which was used for evil, by the way. I'm just going to say that. Yes, it was evil. Oh man, I lost a thumbs up from somebody during this whole rant. I guess people didn't like what I had to say about this episode. I'm sorry out there, but hey, uh, you know, I still like the episode. I'm not saying I didn't like the episode. I'm just saying there's some stuff that needs to be filled in for us before we finish these last two episodes. These last two episodes are going to going to be bringing us Sam becoming Captain America. We all know this. It's an inevitable thing. It's basically Sam's journey to becoming Captain America and getting the shield. And it's something that he has to go through in order to make it right in his own mind is really what it is. And these are his trials, if you will, to becoming that person and becoming that icon, if you will, and taking up the mantle and taking up the shield. And it's something that he needs to do. Applecrow says, what's funny is I couldn't stand Zemo in Civil War, and now I love him. They just don't understand Disney Plus. Yeah. Thanks, Penn, for putting up the Facebook group page up there. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in this episode that I really like. Oh, I did like Io. She basically pops off when the White Wolf's arm. She basically like hits him a couple times, like tap 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 tap, and then she just his arm pops off. And Sam's like, "Did you know they could do that?" And he's like, "No." He picks up the arm, pops it back on, and that was kind of cool. But also, it's just she's like tap 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 tap, and then you hear, and the arm just drops off. And also, John fighting the Dora Milaje before he takes the super soldier serum and getting his ass kicked and being distraught about it. And he says, they weren't even super soldiers, and I got my ass handed to me. Sam was actually holding his own, and of course, Bucky was holding his own because Bucky's a super soldier. He was barely holding his own though at that point. But yeah, I mean, John and Lamar were getting their asses handed to them by the Dora Milaje. And that's what they do. I mean, they are supposed to be the elite fighting group of Wakanda, and having them in there. I'm liking that we're bringing in the Wakandans as well. We're covering a little bit of Bucky's backstory. This is mainly Sam's journey. We know this. This is all going to be Sam's journey. It's not going to be a lot of Bucky's journey. And hopefully we do get some of Bucky's journey maybe down the road in another series. But I would definitely love to go back and see some of his stuff as Winter Soldier, like in the 50s and the 60s, the 70s, that kind of stuff. And maybe we'll see some of it in Loki. We don't know. Maybe we have a little smattering here and there, but yeah. Applecrow says they were outnumbered and surprised, but I think it was it was the one taking the shield from him that broke him. You mean when he got pinned? And oh yeah, when he got the shield taken from him, yeah, at the end there, where she kind of flips the shield up, and she does the cap flip too, which was kind of cool. She just stomps on it and flips it up and grabs it, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, that's a warrior." And I think it also had to do a little bit with his masculinity being hurt, because it was a woman that took him down too. There is that old stereotype as well that's in there, and I think that hurt him a bit as well. So yeah, and we don't know what happened in Afghanistan. They kind of, again have Lamar and John talking about their time in Afghanistan and what he did to earn his 3 medals of honor, and that I guess they were the only survivors out of their platoon. So I don't know. Yeah. Again, this is all stuff that we just kind of get an inkling about. It's I kind of liken it to The Simpsons. They always have a joke. You're coming into it when someone's walking into a room, and it's usually Bart who's going. So I says to Mabel, and I'll tell you later. It's always a joke that you're either hearing the punchline to, or you're hearing the setup for, and then you never get it. The rest of it. That's kind of what I was getting off of some of the series, quite honestly. We're not getting the full story of, again, like what the Flag Smashers want. What is their motivation? Yes, one world, one people, but what does this mean? Are you trying to kill half the population again, or what do you want in order to achieve your end goal, if you will? Why was creating 12 more super soldiers necessary to achieving your end goal of whatever that was? We don't know, because we haven't been set up story-wise for that. So, and yes, that's one of the rare things you'll hear me gripe about with a Marvel series is not being clear in where you're going with your plot, what the plot is, for that matter, other than this is Sam's story becoming Captain America. So, all right. But other than that, I like the episode. I like the previous one a little bit better because Matt are poor. But there you go. Oh, what else? Well, what else do I have going on this week? Tomorrow is going to be another episode of Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the week and any genre stuff you guys want to talk about. We talk about it. Sunday is a double header, because I was thinking about doing Invincible last night, but it dropped too late, so I couldn't do it. And of course, I'm not doing it tonight. So Sunday is going to be a doubleheader of Invincible, and then later on in the evening, The Nevers. That's right, The Nevers from HBO Max. Monday I'll be off. Tuesday will be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, it's the HBO Max series Made for Love, is what that's called. Made for Love. Wednesday and Thursday I'll be off, and then Friday we roll back around again to The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 5, the penultimate episode of the series. So as Penn said there, yeah, go to suspendedfanimation.com, take a look at the schedule I have up there, plus all the links to my social media and my pages that I have up there. And If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down there. And if you can, also the like and the share button as well. And if you want to know when to be on live again next, you can hit that bell down below. But again, like I said, it's 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com and take a look there. All right. Thank you to everybody who joined me tonight in the chat and also participated in the chat. It was great. Yeah, and hit that like button before you go, as Penn says. Thank you, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow morning for Saturday Morning Blast Off. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may get your ass handed to you by the Dora Milaje, which is okay because they're much, much better fighters than you are. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Take care. Be well. Take those vaccines, wear those masks, and I will see you again tomorrow. Have a good rest of your night. Good night.